Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Short Hops with manager Kevin Hooper. Short Hops is a weekly program that gives you, the fans, the opportunity to ask the Wichita Wingnuts skipper questions about the Wingnuts, baseball, or life in general. This week we have an interesting program for you as Kevin shares with us information about the recent Wingnuts fundraiser for Kaiser Carlisle's family. We have some information for you about the signing of Nick Van Stratten. Plus, Kevin talks to us about the key series they have this week against the St. Paul Saints and the Sioux City Explorers. So let's get right to Short Hops. Okay, so we want to welcome manager Kevin Hooper back. Kevin, before we get into our show this week, there are a few things that I wanted to give the opportunity to talk about. The most important of those was the fundraiser that was held Friday night for Kaiser Carlisle's family. So could you give us a little details on what you found out about what's gone on with this fundraiser itself?
Yeah, it was an awful nice night for the cause at hand, and we had a huge silent auction just where we all racked our brains, got a hold of a bunch of our major league friends, and got some good donation stuff from them towards the auction. And grand total of the auction plus the donations that night plus the ticket group sales that they did for the cause raised just under $35,000. So it's a big night for, like I said, a wonderful cause, a tragic accident that happened, close to heart for us right there in Lawrence Dumont Stadium. So very pleased with the money we were able to raise for that.
A really touching moment when the father for Kaiser Carlisle came out throughout the opening pitch. A really touching moment to be at, I got to honestly tell you.
Yeah, no doubt. And I made a point to run over and shake his hand. I gave him a hug and just told him our prayers were with him and his family, and he just told me how thankful he was for what we were doing. So very touching evening, no doubt about it. And as I said, it'll be remembered forever at that stadium.
For those who are still interested, big hits for Kaiser is still out there if you want to donate towards that, and so we want to leave that opportunity for those who are still interested in helping the cause, or you can contact the Wingnuts yourself if you'd like to find out more, and they could provide you information on how to donate towards the cause. An important announcement I know you have about your own personal career, kind of a bad segue, I apologize for that, but personally you have a new endeavor you're getting into, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that with us.
Yeah, new opportunity. I took the volunteer assistant job for Wichita State softball. So it's no secret I've got two daughters that are involved in softball, and I've been working with softball for about 5 years now. A bunch of the older girls at the academy where my girls play, a bunch of girls who are going on to big-time colleges to play softball. I've worked with all of their infielders throughout my time at the academy, and I enjoy it. I really enjoy working with the girls. They love to listen. They love to learn. Really not dealing with any egos per se, but I'm looking forward to it. It's a great opportunity to get back involved in the soccer athletics. And something that I'm looking forward to. I'll start tomorrow with some individual workouts. I'll head over there at 11 a.m. and start working with those infielders.
And so are you kind of being a jack of all trades with them and how you're helping them? Are there specific areas they were looking for your assistance?
Yeah, I'll pretty much have control over all of the infielders, but I think it's going to be a situation where, I told Coach that I was willing to help any way you want me to. So, I hope that they'll utilize me in a lot of different ways and vice versa, because I've got a lot to learn about the softball game. Obviously, teaching the infielders is very similar. There's really no difference in the way I want to teach a young man defensively how we go about our business. So I don't see a whole lot being different on the softball side of that because I've done it for quite a few years now and I'm accustomed to it. And it's just, the same thing in baseball and softball, fielding a ground ball, working on your feet, your hands, all that good stuff.
I would assume got to be a great opportunity to return back to your alma mater there to help out in this way.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Like I said, just to be part of that program. Again, I know it's a different side of things being on the softball side, but I'm very excited about this new opportunity and the doors that it might open as well.
We also wanted to discuss last week at the end of our show, we had a question from Luke from Wichita that we full of thought was Luke Robertson. After asking him, he tells us that it wasn't him, so we just wanted to fill in with the
We'll clear
information
that
we know.
Yeah.
The last question before we get into our questions this week, I wanted to ask you about, you have St. Paul coming to town for 3 days starting tomorrow and then go to Sioux City. I would assume both these teams are in a situation where they could eclipse last season's record of 73 wins in a season. So tell me a little bit about how these series mean to you personally and then what you think you need to get out of them for your team, for yourself.
I'm very excited about the two series coming up because we have not seen either team yet this year. So it's always nice to see some new faces, get a new scouting report, see some tendencies maybe for guys. And it's an opportunity, hopefully, if we can finish this thing out, a possibility if we can get through the first round of who we would face in the championship, one of those two teams. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a big test for us on where we're at. And I'm also looking forward to seeing, the level of competition that they're gonna bring to the table also. So it should be a fun week. We're definitely gonna have our hands full. What a way to spend a week here real quick with the two teams trying to run down our record from last year, as you stated. So we can put our damper on that, though. We got 7 games here where we could, hopefully knock out some wins and slow them down a little bit because both have had tremendous seasons, very successful, and it's been fun to watch what they've done so far this year.
I also wanted to talk with you about the addition of Nick Van Stratten this last Friday night. A huge pickup, and I'm kind of curious how you made this happen. Huge pickup.
It was a situation where he went to Mexico. Laredo had traded him to Bridgeport in the Atlantic League, and then he signed out of there to go to Mexico. So no one had his rights in our league. So it's kind of free game once his team got eliminated from Mexico. And we made a run at it. We thought he was going back to Laredo. My first conversation with him, he was pretty much set in stone that he was going back to Laredo, and then we were able to sneak in and acquire him. So I know he'd heard good things about Wichita and how we do things, and what a huge pickup, as you mentioned. He's going to do nothing but help our team. And as you saw with your own eyes this weekend, Robert, what he brings to the table for us.
Absolutely. I think that if it was not for the season that Brent Cleveland had last year, this was the best center fielder in the league.
Oh, yeah, no question. No, he can do a lot of things and do a lot of things really well. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that he's not in AAA somewhere, possibly even getting a call to the big leagues in September with somebody. I think that much of him and of his talent.
He is a supreme talent, no doubt about that. So we begin with our questions from this week. The first one of them is, are there areas that you're still looking for to improve your team heading towards Friday's deadline?
Absolutely. I think every day of the season I'm trying to improve my team. That's always the case. But now especially, we've got 5 days here to make some moves. We need some help in the bullpen. Bennett had an elbow issue. We actually just put him on the disabled list after the game. So that's a huge hit for us. We actually have a bullpen guy coming in tomorrow, and we're actually going to try to look for a couple more arms throughout this week because we do need some help down there. We also need, we're just going to see what happens here, see what is available and what comes about, and, if there's something we feel we can't pass on, we'll make that adjustment.
It seems like your two middle infielders, there were some questions about whether you were looking to replace either one of them, but both of them seem to be hitting better and playing exceptional defense as well. Yeah, they've done a pretty good job. They're just young, and it's tough. You've got 2 rookies up the middle at 2 very important positions, a position where I spend a lot of time at. And every day we're teaching. We're working with them and teaching them and trying to just get in their brains, what we're looking for and how to be a professional defensively and as a hitter. So it's a work in progress, but they've made vast improvements, I believe, and I've been happy with what they've done out there. Kevin, I have to say one of the most impressive aspects that I've looked upon for you personally in the way that you've handled the team this season is you started out with 2 veteran guys with huge amounts of experience up the middle and finished the season with 2 rookies. That's kind of an interesting turnabout there. Yeah, very interesting. And like you said, I'm very picky about the middle guys that play for me because I spent so much time there. We try to build this around pitching and defense. But I love spending time out there. I love to teach. I love to work, as we've mentioned many times. So we get out there early with them on a daily basis and just try to teach and get them comfortable, more comfortable day in and day out. And the more reps and more experience they're going to get, the better they're going to be. Larry from Wichita would like to know, in moving Jace Ray from center field to either left or right, do you believe that that's hurting your defense because he's a natural center fielder?
Absolutely not. I think it makes our defense way better, as a matter of fact. Because now we have 3 center fielders out there. And you saw the catch Van Stratten made today. He's arguably one of the best defensive center fielders you're going to see. And Jace Ray did a tremendous job for us. But you can't teach experience. I always say that, and Van Stratten takes them on himself. A big part of playing center field is moving. A guy gets 2 strikes, you slide over, just playing the gaps, stuff like this. And that's what he does out there. Van Stratten takes control. And that's a position Jace Ray, with experience, is going to get better at, but he didn't have that under his belt like Nick Van Stratten does. So very excited to have Van Stratten out there. I'm very excited to have Jason right and Harrison in left. That's some really, really good speed out there with a way above average arms on all 3 of them.
It is a vacuum out there in the outfield for hitters, for sure. Tom from Butler would like to know, your pitching staff really seems to be coming together. You have 5 guys right now that really could start for you in playoff games. Do you narrow that down to 3 guys or 4 guys or 5 guys for the playoffs, or how do you go about that?
Yeah, we'll have a 4-man. So one guy will move to the bullpen. Obviously, we haven't decided what's going to happen yet, but we go to a 4-man. So your number 1 will start game 1. Your number 2 will start game 2. Then you've got a day off for travel. Your number 3 will start game 3. Your number 4 will start game 4. And if you got to a game 5, your first night guy would start on normal rest that last game. So we go to a 4-man, and one guy goes to the bullpen is how we do it. Okay, so is it just your true number 1 is always the first guy to go out, or would you say to yourself, okay, let's say, for example, you're facing a Laredo, and let's, I'm just going to use this hypothetically, so nobody think this is what Kevin's saying. I'm just using this hypothetically. So if, let's say, for example, you decided Tim Brown was your number 1 guy, but he pitched better against Laredo away, would you decide to kind of move him back, or would you still go with the number 1 spot with him? No, we're going to do whatever we think is going to give us the best chance to win that first game, and then the second game, and then the third game. That's how we'll map it out. Also, you want a guy throwing that first game who is going to be fine, bouncing back on his normal rest. It's the end of the season. It takes a toll on guys a lot of time, a full season. So we'll just kind of weigh where we're at right then. But no, that really doesn't have a whole lot to do with it. We just go with who we think is going to give us our best chance to win night in, night out.
Tyler from Hayesville would like to know, you're so close to winning the division title. How does this season compare for you to the 3 previous seasons?
This one's been the most difficult, no doubt about it, just with everything that we've dealt with. It's been a tough go. It's been a crazy season, and to be in the situation we're in, 6 games up with 14 left, I feel very fortunate with everything we've had to deal with. Not only the guys getting signed, all the injuries we've had to deal with, and those just keep piling up and piling up. It's been a lot on our plate, but you're never going to hear me make excuses. I want to be accountable, and I'm a guy that if we lose somebody, I'm going to work hard to find a replacement. That's what we've done, and that's why we've been so successful, I think, just because we continue to replenish guys that we lose with guys that can come in and compete and hold their own as well.
Kind of a leading question to that. Doug from Cedar Springs would like to know, last season's team had so much power and scored so many runs. This season's team has to really grind out wins. Is that more a kind of game you like to manage?
Well, Doug nailed that on the nose, because I say all the time how many times we've grinded out wins this year. It's been a lot. I feel like the game today, we've given a lot of games away. I would think it'd be in double digits probably, where we've had our fair share of a chance to win a game, and we've kind of given it away. I do like close games, though, because I do get to manage. Like you said, last year we had a lot of blowouts. The close games are the fun ones to manage, because you're using your brain a lot, thinking about situations, stuff like that. But I've got no complaints about a blowout either. Every once in a while, those are always nice. So we'll take them when we can get them. But yeah, it's always fun managing a close, tight game.
Malcolm from Manhattan would like to know what you recommend to a hitter who's, I guess, been out for an injury or some time to get his timing back at the plate.
Just reps. When we have a guy that's been out for quite a while, we try to throw some simulated games or something where he can see some live pitching, just not in a game situation. before BP, we'll get a pitcher out there throwing him some pitches so that he can see live pitching again, and do that a couple times before we get a guy back in there. I think that's it. Just reps, just trying to get your timing back. And a lot of times when you've been out for an extended period of time, you get back, even if you play some simulated games. There's nothing like when those lights go on. It usually takes a guy maybe about a week to get his timing back to get things rolling.
A person identifying himself as Tigers fan would like to know who you think is the greatest Detroit Tigers pitcher of all time.
That's a tough call. For me, just guys I remember watching growing up, I think Jack Morris would have to be up there for me. He's a longtime Tiger who I watched growing up. You got names like, you hear Mickey Lolich a lot. I hear that name a lot. Justin Verlander is a guy who was a teammate of mine who you could arguably throw up there also. So for me, my vote, just because I saw him so much, would be Jack Morris, because I know he won a lot of ball games for the Tigers back in the day. And like I said, Verlander's obviously a special name for me because he was a teammate of mine as well.
I'm curious, do you think that Morris got snubbed not making the Hall of Fame?
That's a tough one. I think we could argue that with a lot of guys, and he might definitely be another one of those guys because, he had a tremendous, tremendous career. And like I said, I'm sure he's on a long list of many guys that possibly have gotten snubbed for that award.
I mean, I think that I would be kind of in agreement with you that he should have got in, just because maybe he didn't have 300 wins or whatever, but in terms of the era he was in, he was probably the most dominant guy out of that era's time.
I agree. Totally agree.
Kind of surprising. Terrence from Topeka would like to know how you feel about guys catching the ball with just one hand.
Don't like it. Not one bit. I like the two-hand catch. Obviously, there's going to be times where you have to catch a ball one-handed, but a routine fly ball, obviously, I like that other hand near just in case it pops out. So you young bucks listening or anybody else, use those two hands when you have the opportunity.
Yeah, don't make Kevin get on you. Okay. Megan from Wichita would like to know, and I'm assuming this is when you're giving your signs out there in the third base coaching box, does all the touching and patting really mean something to the runner or hitter?
It absolutely does. Yeah, it's part of the game where I'm over there in third base box giving signs. So, they're paying attention whether we're stealing, hitting, running, bunting. There's always a method to the madness, I guess you could say. So yeah, we're always got a game plan on everything that I'm doing over there.
Shelley from Wichita asks, when a guy has made a costly error during a game, what do you want him to say to himself to get refocused?
Give me the next one. I was a guy as a middle guy. I try to spread it amongst all of our guys when I'm working with them. I literally would go up to my pitcher before every game. I kid you not, and I tell him I want all 27 today. That's how I was. That's how my mentality was. I wanted every ground ball hit to me. And, if I booted a ball, made an error, I'd get the ball and throw it right back to the pitcher and tell him, give me the next one. That's just got to be your mindset to get refocused, is you got to want the next one, because when you don't want the ball is going to find it. So it's just confidence. Errors are going to happen. You just got to mentally be strong enough to, if it does happen, want the next one and want to make the next play behind it.
I would think, too, that if you think you're never going to make an error, you're destined to fail.
Oh, yeah. No, they're going to happen. You got to be realistic with yourself. And, you definitely got to have confidence playing the field and playing this game in general. But there's a fine line where it's going to happen. Errors are going to happen. No one's perfect. No one's going to not make any mistakes out there. You just got to bounce right back. And like I said, be ready for the next one and want the next one and make the next play.
Maggie from Hutchinson asks, what are things you want to instill in little kids about why they should want to play baseball and how they should learn to play the game?
I always just instill just getting out and playing, whether it's baseball or any sport. I like kids to be outside playing something. And that goes along with baseball. Baseball is such a game of life, just lessons learned in the game of baseball. I think so much because it's so much a game of failure, especially on the offensive side of things. It's a game of failure. And you can learn from failing. And this is a game that'll humble you real quick and put things into perspective, just as everyday life will be. So, when they're young, I know we've talked about many times before, like with my daughters with softball, I just want them to learn the basic fundamentals. Have fun. That's the big thing. Have fun doing what you're doing, and get done what you can get done, and work as hard as you can at it.
Annie from Andover asked, and this is kind of an ironic question after today's 4-hour game, do you think the changes that Major League Baseball made to speed up games has made it more enjoyable?
I think so. I think everybody was kind of wanting a little more fast-paced game. And I'm right there on the same page. It can get redundant, and, so like today's game, boy, it seemed like we were out there for 8 hours today. A lot went on, and I'm all for speeding up the process. I'm not for changing the game, though. I'm an old-school realist, and I want the game to be played the same way, and let's don't try to reinvent the wheel. But anything we can do to speed it up, I'm all for.
I did want to ask in relation to today's game, the umpire behind home plate seemed to have a little bit of a different strike zone at times during the game. And at one point you were a little bit irritated by that and voiced your opinion with him about where you were coming from. Is it hard? I mean, I'm thinking for the pitchers, it must really be hard to try to get into some kind of rhythm when you're just not really sure what's going to be called a strike and what's not.
Yeah, it's tough, and especially for hitters, because I felt like a couple situations today, a guy took a ball and then he called a strike that might have been a little worse. But umpires are human beings too; they're going to make mistakes. You just, is all I can ask for as a manager is for them to be consistent. A strike's a strike, a ball is a ball. If you call it in the first inning, it's the same in the ninth inning. So it's just being consistent, and there's going to be days where guys aren't consistent. It's just going to happen because they're human beings. And they're going to make mistakes as well, but we all have bad days, and whatever employment we're in, we're going to have bad days at work wherever we're at. So it's just how you respond to them and how you adjust going forward. John
from Wichita would like to know. He's heard you talk about your dislike for the international rule. What would you do in its place to save pitching staffs and end games quicker?
I don't know if I'd do anything to end games quicker. Saving pitching staff, yeah, I think the international rule, it's been no secret my opinion on that. I'm totally against it. I think it's just admitting that our roster is too small. They're wanting to save pitching. Well, then let's add a guy or two. I've always fought for a 23rd or 24th guy. I think that's my philosophy on how you fix it. You add a couple more guys to the roster, then we don't have to worry about pitching. But it is what it is. Like I said last week or the week before, if we go 18 innings, we go 18 innings. That's the game of baseball, and that's what we're going to do. And me as a manager, I'm going to have to adjust accordingly in doing so.
And I think realistically, sometimes you're going to be in games like that, and you just have to adjust.
Right. Absolutely.
Mike from Wichita would like to know, he thinks the steroid era has really ruined the fundamentals of baseball. People seem to have lost their ability to do things right anymore. Do you agree with that? The little things right.
I'm always a stickler on doing the little things the right way. I don't know if it's totally lost. It's not here in Wichita. I mean, we're going to be as fundamentally sound as we can be. I think some places, though, yeah, it has been lost. No doubt about it. Even the bunt, just little things. You don't see as much maybe as you used to pre-steroids, but it is what it is. It changes the game a little bit. I think it's maybe getting back to where it used to be, and I hope it continues to go in that direction because I'm a little things, doing the little things the right way, big believer, and we're going to, like I said, we're going to take a lot of pride here in Wichita, at least on doing the little things and doing them right.
Before the season, you and I had sat down and talked, and I think this would be kind of interesting for fans out there to hear your take on this, about how the stolen base seemed to have been lost for a number of years, that teams had really gotten away with it. But you were talking to me about how the Kansas City Royals have become kind of a model of bringing that back, and because they're winning, it's really kind of an inspiration to other teams to look at that. Could you just maybe kind of elaborate on that a little bit for us here, Kevin?
Yeah, I think so. Look what we did last year, breaking the league record in stolen bases with 174 in 100 games. That's a lot. That's a lot of stolen bases, and we were very similar to the Royals. They ran a lot too, and I think, Sioux City, for example, this year, I believe that they've stolen a lot of bases. I don't know how many they're at now, but I know that they were on pace to shatter our record, and I don't know if they still are or not. But I think that it's something. If you see something successful, whether it's in our league or in the major leagues, you're going to see guys try to adapt and try to replicate it and do the same thing.
It isn't dead out there, folks, whether you think so or not. Okay.
I'm sorry?
It isn't dead out there, whether they think it is or not. It's still out there. Big Chiefs fan would like to know what you think of Alex Smith as a quarterback, and is he the guy that could lead the Chiefs to the Super Bowl?
I'm a big Chiefs fan myself, and I like Alex. I know he's not going to throw the deep ball very often. He's just going to, they're going to run that clock, and it's going to be station to station with him. But I like him. I like the fact he can run a little bit, too. He's a good athlete. I know he's not the biggest guy around, but I'm a big Andy Reid fan, and I think that he can get Alex doing the right things. And, yeah, why not? He's our starting quarterback, so you got to have confidence and faith in him and hope that he can lead our Chiefs to the Super Bowl.
Mike from Wichita would like to know, when you were a kid, what was the best autograph you ever got?
Ozzie Smith, hands down. That was my idol growing up, and I remember my dad taking me to a card show in Kansas City, and I got to meet him and get an autograph. And pretty special time for me because, like I said, that was the guy I idolized growing up.
Did you ever get a chance to meet him as a professional player?
I did not while he was playing, no. Now, when he signed at that card show, he was still playing. But when I was playing in those 10 years, I actually met him, but it was it was at an awards banquet. It was never while I was playing. It was at an awards banquet where I got to meet him and sit down and chat with him, which was also a special night for me. But no, I never came across him as a player.
Interesting. Our last question for this week, I guess kind of taking off somebody's question a few weeks ago about who would win an eating contest between the two.
Right.
So today we find out, who do you believe would win a race between Josh and Luke Robertson?
I think it would be a tough question maybe in their prime, but now, no question about it, Josh would beat Luke just because of Luke's bad knees. I don't know if you've seen him, Robert, but you watch him jog out to the mound, he has a hard time doing that just because of his knees. So, hands down, Josh would beat him in a race. That doesn't mean Josh is the fastest guy around by any means. But my only concern, it might be Luke, though, because Josh might pull a hamstring doing it or something, would be my only. But I think, if they could both get to the line safe and sound, Josh would be your guy that would win that race, Hank.
Well, if we could talk the two of them into a race like this, we'll be selling tickets.
Yeah, we might have to. Amy might have to email in sometime to the organization. Maybe we can get that going during a game, something. But,
yeah,
that would be fun to watch. That's for sure. That would be quite interesting to watch. So we just hope no one would get hurt. That'd be the case.
Maybe we could get him into one of those between inning competitions or something.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Well, Kevin, thank you very much for joining us this week.
Thanks as always, Robert.
We want to thank manager Kevin Hooper for joining us on Short Hops this week. If you'd like to ask the Wichita Wingnuts skipper your own questions, please send them to us at askkevin@minorleaguesportsreport.com. Once again, that's askkevin@minorleaguesportsreport.com. Please have your questions to us by Friday at midnight so we can give the skipper a couple of days to review those before we record them on Monday. We want to thank Kevin once again for joining us this week, and we hope you enjoyed our show. I'm Rob Pannier, the managing editor of the Minor League Sports Report, and we'll see you next week